Okay, now we can think about how we want to display both SD cards and how we want to like kind of name them. So let's create some titles. Maybe SD card 1, SD card 2. I think this could work pretty well. We can actually turn off that grid now. Let's create the titles first. So we create a new folder called titles, and let's create the title like 01 SD card. Nice, create that one. And in here we are creating a new text with exactly that. Let's align that in the middle and scale it down a little bit. Yes, that's cool. I'm thinking about a cool way to display what is on that SD card. So I was also thinking about like a carousel. The start is always a little bit, yeah, say time consuming or like takes some more time to really get the first animations. And as soon as you have the first animations, you have that flow. You know, okay, I want to go for this vibe, for this HUDs. I'm thinking the space we have. So it opens up here, that maybe the first panel. So let's create a shape and let's see how that looks. We can just create a rounded rectangle by double clicking it, scaling it a little bit more down like that. And we call this one background. Bring it down, make it fill with a full color. Let's say we go for a lighter gray, something like that. It's even not too light. It's actually pretty dark. So something like that. Get it up a bit. Yes, and now we can go into the rectangle in the contents, rectangle 1, rectangle path, and increase roundness. And I think 10 for the outlines looks good. For the outlines, I would pick some grayish, like a little bit lighter gray. Yes, I think that's cool. Let's bring this one into our main comp and let's see how that looks. Boom. Okay, so we just dragged it in. I'm going to cut it here because we don't need it at this point. So now we have to reposition it. Let's make it a 3D layer. And actually we can paste the position of our grid. And now let's correct the position a little bit. Now we can parent it to our table tracker and it's going to stick at that position, which is pretty cool. We can even make it a little bit smaller, like maybe something like 80. I'm not 100% centered here. That's the problem. Let's bring the opacity down to 90 and let's turn off the table grid. Now we don't need it anymore. So what we can do here is we can also bring the anchor point of that comp to the SD card. And when we tap on it, like here, we can animate the scale from 0 up to 100. Here, bring it down to 0 and smooth the keyframes. Yes, we can even bring it in a little bit earlier. Nice. So we can imitate like there's some window opening, boom, boom. Maybe the second window for the second SD card is open up to the right. So let's copy that first SD card window so we can see how it looks and feel when we add the second window. So I would really recommend to get a true comp duplicator, which makes it pretty easy to duplicate comps and all the comps in that comp. You can select that comp here and just duplicate it. So pretty easy. And if you don't have it, you can just create a new comp and paste and copy and paste the elements in here. And you pretty much have the same, but you can save some time with the true comp duplicator. And let's name this one number 2 SD card. Let's go into a main comp, drag that one in. cut it exactly at the same spot. Let's also make this one a 3D layer. Scale it to 80, like the other one. Yes. Position it in the space where you want to have it. Yeah, maybe here. That could work. So this looks cool. Bring down the opacity to 90 like the other one before. Exactly. Now we can parent it to the table tracker as well, so it stays at that spot. Nice. And now let's adjust the anchor point and drag it to the SD card, so it's popping out of the SD card when I tap on it. So let's say here I tap on it. So let's bring up scale, make a scale keyframe, go forward in time and bring the scale to 0. Bring up the speed graph and smooth that curves. Yes. We can even like make it a little bit bigger. I feel like it's too small. 85. Yes. That's looking not too bad. And here we can actually animate both in for the opacity to just fade out at 0, 0, 0. So when I grab the card, they pretty much just disappear. We can select both of the keyframes and ease out and ease in. So it's a little bit smoother. Bim, bim, boom. Nice. We are going to add the motion blur later. Don't worry, guys. I just don't want to activate motion blur now. We can, of course, check it so we don't forget about it. But you see, like now it's okay. But if we add more and more, it's going to be a slower playback if we add more motion blur to more layers. So for now we can keep it on, but as soon as we see it's lagging, we can turn it off. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, I think this is some solid idea for the beginning. But for now, I think it's good to leave the beginning like that. So we can move on with some more ideas. Maybe we will come up with some cool ideas later. How we could animate it. Well, one more thing maybe. We can maybe move it more to the left. Like these are popping out from a different angle. Maybe something like that. But we have to recenter the anchor point here for the second SD card, and for the first one maybe we're going to move the anchor point here. So they're both. So we use the space. We like really use the space. And we can increase size of both of them, I think. So here let's scale it up back to 100. Yes, that's way better. And the other one as well. 100. Yeah. So we can add some footage maybe, or some other things to that SD card. It's all about the fine tuning, guys. We can move this one a little bit more down, I think, and correct the anchor point and leave it like that for now. It's really important for me to have like use that space. The framing is super important. And I think this framing looks way better. That's cool than the beginning. So we are really using that space. That's nice. Cool. We can add some more elements later on, like maybe we can add like the time here. I don't know. Let's do it now. Let's add that element. Let's create a new call it time. Yes, and create a new text which says I don't know 11 11. Let's bring up the characters option and align it into the center. And then today is February 2024. And in the characters, I'm going to switch that and to fill and maybe choose a light font or maybe normal, regular. Yes. Bring it down and match it to the 11. Well, we can scale up both so we can see better what's going on. Like that. And recenter. But when I look at my iPhone, I think it says 22. Oh yeah, it's on top and it says Thursday, comma 22 point February. That's so it looks really like iPhone UI. I think that's pretty important to make it fit good as possible. Let's fill it with white. So yes, that's way better. So let's go back into the align, make sure both are centered. We can move down this a tiny bit. Yeah, that's looking cool, looking like some UI, which could actually be here. So let's add that, make it a 3D layer. Let's put it here on the table. Maybe bring down the opacity. Something like 90 is good. And now parent it to the table tracker. Yes. I think that's pretty cool. Nice little feature. And actually you can stay there from the beginning. I like that. Nice, guys, we're getting there. And now we can, as soon as I select it, we can scale it down from 100 to 0 because we don't have any tracking data anymore. Let's smooth the keyframes as well. Let's zoom it a bit. Yes, 100 to 0. Going to activate motion blur on that layer as well. Nice. That's cool. We can cut it here. Nice. Wow. We're getting there step by step. So this is going to be a really complex video. Not gonna lie. Another thing I was thinking of to adding some blur. So everything is popping a little bit more. So let's do that as well. So we should add it here. Yes, let's create a new layer and an adjustment layer. Bring it down here. And we need it till here probably. And let's add some camera lens blur. Let's see how that looks. So if we put it 10, yeah, like the background gets a little bit more blurry. You can see that, right? Yeah, like maybe 15. And also lumetri color, maybe -1, maybe 0.5, and the camera lens blur just to 10. 10 is, I think that's all right. We want to make it pop in as soon as I select the card. So here, let's bring up the opacity and scale, make a keyframe at 100, bring it down to 0. And let's copy these ones for the ending as well. Here we want to be at 0. Yes, 0 please. And let's call this layer blur plus darken. Nice. And we're gonna ease out this one. Is in that bad boy. Easy ease out and easy ease in. Yes. Let's see. I know I wanted to move on to the next one, but I think these details, I just had this idea, so I just do it, you know. Now I'm in the flow. Like there, the time is sticking there. Pretty cool. Well, we can also try to edit the keyframe here for the scale, so it kind of pops in as soon as we move into the frame. 0. Remove the curves. Maybe that gives a little extra. Maybe even a little bit later. Here. Nice. Okay, that's pretty cool. So we could add here maybe the date and some preview of the footage. So it actually looks like, so it actually makes sense to tap on them like that. Bam, bam. Nice. I'm thinking about the text here. We should add here a fill and set it to white. I think we're going to do the same for number 1. Yeah, it makes more sense. It just looks better, I think. Something like that. That's pretty cool. One more idea is to separate these two texts and add it again and maybe increase the scale. Maybe not, let's not say SD card, that's not cool. Let's say we name it Keanu. Yeah, that looks more like I want it to look. Something like that. Let's compare it. Yeah, I think that's looking way better. We can also add the date here. So let's say we have shot this clips, maybe 18 of February 2024. That's a good date. Let's scale this down. And let's change it to like maybe something like that. Yes, that's pretty cool. I think that looks way better. Let's have the comparison view. Yeah, that definitely makes more sense. Showcase it like that. If you compare them both, I think that's way cooler than that. Nice. So maybe let's bring down the scale here a little bit. Let's not completely overkill. And let's move these two texts more to the left. I spend a lot of time like fine-tuning the designs because I think like having good designs here, it makes such a big difference. Yeah. Let's also add another rectangle shape. Call this one Keanu. Another rectangle shape here and just set the fill to black, stroke to none maybe, and we call that black shape. Yes. And now we move it down. What we can do now is toggle switch modes. If you don't see that, you can go up to columns and make sure you have the same here checked, like the mode box. Yeah. And for the track mat, we are going to set it to background. Yes, but we need to duplicate the background first and activate it again. So the one on the bottom is going to be the mask because we're pretty much using the path here of the background as shape. But if we wanted to do it like that, we have to duplicate this one again and call this one outlines and bring the outlines all the way to the top. And in here we set fill to none. So the outlines are actually on top of that black layer we just created. So yeah, it's actually transparent here. And now for the background shape, I think we can even go to a darker color, something like that. All right, this is looking pretty good. I love that. That's really nice. Let's copy the same one for the first SD card here. Pretty easy. We're just going to go into here and Command A. We like selecting everything. Command C, copy. In here we can delete everything and paste it. And now the only thing we have to change is the number here at the top. And now, yeah, we have pretty much same design in here. And that's looking pretty good. I love that. Nice. So we could actually think about getting the first footage in here. So I don't know, I'm just in the flow right now. All right, that's looking pretty nice. So let's add some footage just to see how it looks and feels. Yeah, we're getting to a good mood here. So for the SD card 2, which we are going to choose, I already have the footage prepared in here. Clips on the SD card. Yeah, these are the clips. So let's bring in some clips and see how we can actually place them. Let's pre-comp them first. I'm a big fan of pre-comping these clips first. So like that. Cool. Back at in the comp. Let's get it down. That's good. So I'm actually thinking about, I don't know, review of 3 clips. Is that cool? Something like that. I think this works. Should we go all the way up? Don't know. I mean, it would be cool if we have 2 clips in here. Let's have one where we can see the car completely. Maybe this one too. And let's bring it in. Let's get it to 21 as well. So something like that. So if we have both next to each other. Yeah, that looks cool. Okay. Let's see how I'm going to mask them. Let's put them below the outlines for sure. And let's use a mask. Actually, duplicate this one. So it keeps playing. And we need to reverse the layer so it's playing back again. Something like that, maybe. I'm here. Time reverse layer. So, now it's playing it back from there again. Well, for the top layer, I actually want to cut earlier, copy it, and reverse the time again so we don't go in that transition. Yes, that's better if we go back here again. Yeah, that's nice. Cool. I like that. So let's pre-comp these ones as well. Yeah, it's easier to mask them out. We call this one preview. And we can also, for the track matte, use here the mask background, which we already used. So now we have that clean borders here. Yes, and now we just need to get a clean top cut. So let's use the rectangle mask here and try to match the black as good as possible. Yeah, something like that. Let's crop a little bit more in. So let's try again. Now, something like that. Yes. And now we can just invert the mask. Et voila. There we go. This is looking cool, I think. Let's see how the preview looks in the main comp. But I think we can make the playback a little bit later. So it's actually showing a good scene a little bit earlier. I want that logo flip to show something like that. Yes, logo flip, boom. A little bit earlier, even a tiny bit. That's the detail, guys. Let's show this. Click, click, boom, logo flip. I'm picking this one. Nice. Yes, that's solid, guys. I love that. So now we just need footage for the first SD card, like number 1. Yes, that's pretty cool. When I grab this card, we can actually maybe make this one pop out a little bit, like I've selected it. Let's create scale keyframes, 2 at 100, and then pump it up. Something like that. Nice. Yes. That's good. That's good. We need that interaction. We can also add a Lumetri color effect. No, that's too early. Nice. That's cool. Keyframe ease out. And here we're going to ease in. And easy ease. Yes. Nice. So boom. So right when I touch it, like maybe a millisecond later. Yes, still works. So this one can actually disappear. Number one can disappear when we select number two. So this makes definitely sense. Something like that. A little bit later, as soon as I select it. Well, we actually can make the scale animation here. So we do something different. To go back to 0 here. That's all ideas that I get when I just go into the flow state. I'm trying to think of an UI, like how would I love to have these effects? What could be like a seamless experience actually using this card? So maybe we can position the second one a bit more here on top, so we can clearly see the preview and everything. What do you think about that? Let's correct the anchor point then. How does that look? I think that's better. Yes. Yes, that's cool. Let's use the full length of the track. Nice. Okay, cool. So here we are actually going to choose the folder. I have a screen recording for that, which is in here, which is called select folder. Let's create a new comp, which we call stay window. That's a name, guys. All right, let's bring this one into our comps and bring in the screen recording. Hey, voila. Now we just need to select the window here because this is what we need. And I'm selecting this one here. Okay. Let's mask out that bad boy here. Let's create a rounded rectangle shape. Actually, like that. Call this one mask. Bring down the opacity. Increase the roundness as always at contents rectangle path and roundness. Let's try to match the roundness. Scale down. Oh, that's not 100% matched. So let's, yes, that's a good roundness. That's fitting here. Okay, let's slightly adjust the size. Like that. Boom. Boom. Oh no. Come back. Yes, looking good. Where we increase the opacity. Yes, that's the shape we need. Let's use this one as a mask. And maybe bring it down to 87. Yes, that's looking correct. Let's bring this one into our main comp and see how it looks. The SD window. So in here we have the SD card tracker up here. So let's move it to the SD card tracker. We need that one here. Let's start to label some stuff in here. So you see the colors here. You can give them different colors. For example, I'm now giving orange to all the rotoscoping. I would try to give that, yeah, to go ahead, and if I add different things, I could just change the label color here, maybe to blue. So it's easier to have a good overview to all your layers, especially when it gets so complex as we are creating right now. It's getting pretty complex. So let's create a 3D layer. Which solid is that? I think that's the background. Yes. Okay. Now we run into a problem because we have a 3D layer here, because you want to position it, of course, and change the rotation and angles, but it's now attached to the 3D camera. So we can turn off the 3D camera and use the 3D camera later and pre-comp everything we are animating with the 3D camera. Yeah, so it's just an extra step we have to think about later on. So this is called test. I would call this SD grid solid SD card, so we don't get confused. Let's copy that orientation actually to the SD card window. Oh, nope, but something like that maybe. Here, so actually I want that folder to be pretty big so I can tap on that. But the folder is way too far on the left. So let's turn off that grid for now and parent it to the SD card tracker. So this is what we have right now, which looks cool, but the folder is at the wrong position. So something like this looks right. So this one pops out, and maybe it should be even bigger, like that. And we bring down the opacity, but we are editors, right? We can fix that. So we need that right below. Is that correct? Here we need and we need to add some refine edges here. Otherwise, this is going to look a little bit weird here. Let's add that now. Refine hard matte. Let's see how it changes the borders here. But apparently we need to pre-compose the layer first. Let's move everything. Okay, let's add it again. No, it's making it worse. I don't know why, but let's fix it later. We can try to add some feathering in here and shift the edges to -50 maybe. Increase it to 50. So let's see how that looks. Is that better? I think here the rotoscope is alright. We're coming up with that folder. Yeah, I think that is looking better. It still feels a little bit laggy, but it's okay. We're going to fix this with a lot of animations. Because the problem is this is dark, you know? But actually the Apple Vision Pro looks quite similar. So because the background is dark. So let's create some more folders and add that to the screen recording. So as I said, sometimes I just need to re-record some stuff. We can actually just do some folders in here. Yes, so let's do it like that. We can just go in here and create a new folder. We call this one tutorial. Then we create another folder. Maybe we call this one private stuff, guys. Let's add one more folder and call this one M4 root. And now what we can do is we can actually just screenshot these. Screenshot 1, screenshot 2, and screenshot 3. Nice. And now we can delete the folders again. We don't need them. We just need that screenshots. Let's move them and call them private. Call it first tutorial and M4 root. Boom. Let's move them to some columns. Move them into the right folder. In here, I create a new folder, call it screenshot. Boom. And now we can drag them into the right folder. Guys, really make sure you create folders and take your time to create the right structures. So it's going to save you a lot of headaches and like searching for all your footage and stuff. And let's jump back in the SD window. In here, we can actually add these folders now. Oh, why are the different tones? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
We can fix that, add some curves. And Yes, that's good. These curves we can actually copy and paste to the other ones as well. Yes, let's bring this ones in and paste it. Nice. All right, so there we have it. Some more folders. Awesome. Actually, I want to click on car clips. So I'm probably duplicating this clip and call this one a folder on our car clips. Boom. And here I need Nomad because I'm actually masking it out like that. Yes, cool. And now we can move this one around too. Boom, let's move it some to the place where we want to click at. And here I'm just creating a shape with the same color. Boom, like that. We can use the pipette here, the color picker, eyedropper, have exactly the same color and just drop it to the bottom. Nice. Now we can freely move everything. And let's bring the tutorials photo maybe here, the root and forward to the bottom, private here, and car clips. I think I'm clicking somewhere around here. And let's bring the anchor point actually to the middle. So maybe I want to make it pop when I select it. Let's jump back into the main comp. Looking better. Some more folders in here, and we can actually match the position where I'm clicking. And did we match it? Nice. A little bit more to the right bottom. Okay, let's do that. Here. All right. And then when we tap on it, like here now, I'm creating a keyframe for scale and then increase it. So it looks like I'm actually tapping on that folder. And yes, ease all the keyframes so it's smooth. Yes, that's smooth. Let's see how that looks. Whoa, I didn't see it. It starts too early. And we need to move it more down to the right, even more. Maybe here. Bring it to the top. And start later, like that. Maybe go even bigger because I already want to see how we select that. Yes. Okay. This is good. Not too bad, but it's too slow. I think we can actually make it a bit faster, that pop-up. Nice. Something like that. And I want to change the mask because it's kind of overlapping the clip, the private folder. Maybe something like that. Yes. But we can also move the private folder actually a bit more to the left. Yes. Okay. Nice. Let's add some motion blur. That's nice. Good for now. Looking good, looking good. For that SD window, we wanted to make it pop out of the SD card for sure. So let's move that anchor point to the SD card. Now here it should be at full scale and here it's at 0. Activate motion blur and bring up the speed graph and smooth that keyframes. Nice. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. It actually can start a little bit earlier. When does the card tracker start? Here, okay. Yes, let's have a look how that looks. We have a nice animation popping out of this SD card. Nice, we select them, we choose our SD card for sure. We select the folder. And as soon as we have selected, I want to jump into the menu. So here is the clip. Here we need to cut. And I know I have a screen recording where I actually click on that folder. Oh no. I will need to cut everything. Sorry. Yes, need to cut it like that and cut Yes, that's right. And then we need to drag it forward as soon as I hit the first, yes, like that. Nice. So let's check if I did it right. Because if I want to click on it and instantly jump into the folder, right? So let's cut this here too and bring it that in earlier. Maybe it's too early. How does that look? So we click on the folder, jump in here. Nice. Another idea I have is I want to make the single folders pop in. So let's make sure everything pops in. Maybe here scale from 0 to 104 and smooth the keyframes again. I'm going to make that for every folder. It's just going to make it look more interesting. So this one too, scale to 0 and smooth the keyframes. Boom, boom. Yes, here too. Scale. Let's center it at the folder. Yes, bring up scale again. And 0. Move the keyframes. So as soon as the window pops out, the single folder can actually pop out. Looks pretty cool, I think. Something like that. And Amphiroot, same. Make it pop in from 0 to 100. Speed graph. Yes. And now also activate motion blur on all the layers. Yes. See how that looks. How does it look in the main comp? Right timing, hopefully. Yes. I think that's cool. Nice. Select it, bring it up, select the folder. Cool. So here I think we can actually bring in some darken and background blur as well, since this is pretty common for the glasses, the Apple Vision Pro, which we want to imitate here. So let's duplicate the one we have created before and bring it up to make sure it's above our main clip here. You see the difference here. So yes, I think we can increase it in this case even more. Maybe like 20 and -1. Yes, and we can actually extend the length and bring it in a little bit smoother. So let's see how that looks. No, it starts here. So let's make it start here as well. Here the window opens. It also has this effect of getting blurry. Nice. Okay, cool. Let's see that full playback. Nice. It's looking good. We're getting there. We can also add a time here. Well, actually, this goes till the end. So, yeah, this is going to stick till the end. The darkness plus blur. This comes pretty cool, guys. I love that new version. That's like a little level up to the first one I've created, because I don't want to show you exactly the same steps again. Of course, I improved over time. The last SD card video is, I don't know, like 6-7 months ago. And since then, I constantly try to improve my skills to come up with new ideas and designs. So this is showcasing my current state of editing these type of videos, I would say. Yeah. So yeah, you can learn from my latest skills. So here you can see the time. Maybe we'll bring up the time here as well. How about that? I think that's pretty cool. Bam, bam, bam. Nice. Let's bring in the time, but that's the thing, because I want to 3D track it, or we don't 3D camera track it. I'm here making like that move. So I want to make a grid appear of all the videos. So I'm actually thinking of drawing that window back. So as soon as I do that motion here, like that one goes back. Let's go in here. What happened to my voice? So let's move that. How does that feel? It's too early, but it seems pretty cool. Nice. Pretty cool. So let's also add the time here. Just to have some more elements. I don't know if it's too much, but let's see. I have it entitled time, but we can duplicate the time because now it's probably a minute later. Duplicate selected. Let's name the times. So, oh no, we don't get confused. So this is 11, 11. So this is probably going to be 11, 12-ish. No preview. Time. Oh, no, wrong folder. Sorry, sir. 11, 12. Yes. So let's bring it at 11, 12. Let's make it a 3D layer. Let's copy the orientation so everything is matching. Bringing it up all the way to the top. Bring the opacity down to 80 maybe. I don't want to be 80%. I just want to add some features. Let's parent it to the SD card tracker here. Boom. And now it's going to stick with it. Yes. Yes. So let's see when we make it pop in. Get it down. It's just a little feature. Don't want to be too present. And bring up the scale as soon as we come in here. And set scale to 0. And also here we can smooth them. Boom. Let's see how that looks. Boom, time pops in as well. Yeah. So we just have added another element, which I think is pretty cool, just to see how things in space could look like. Maybe we can also add some things at the left and the right, and so we have some more screens. But let's see. Maybe a little further in that process. Next step is going to be add the footage. So we are adding the footage here. So here I'm tapping on the folder, of course, and then I think the time is getting too much traction. Move it back in space, go back, and maybe get it up a little bit more. And maybe we can change the mode to screen. Nope. To lighten, maybe? What's happening? Nothing. Overlay could work. So it's not too present, but it's still there. We activate the motion blur on that layer as well. Yes. Yeah, that's way better. Yeah, that's cool. Let's change it to 12. Yes. 1 minute later. No, I dragged in the wrong one. So let's leave it at 11. That's fine. That's cool. All right, next up, I'm going to make that clip actually fade out because we're probably going to create a wheel which is like rotating, and we don't need that in the background. So let's make sure we are bringing the opacity down to 0. Quickly keyframe that. Yes. So yes, something like that. Now I'm like moving it backwards and it's disappearing. That's pretty cool. I like that.